Welcome to Where Her Heart Speaks, a show designed to challenge and disrupt ineffective thoughts and behaviors to help you not only embody peace, joy, calm, and certainty, but also to help you live the life you've always dreamed of living. Where Her Heart Speaks with Coach Catherine begins now.
Hi there, it is Coach Catherine. Happy New Year. Oh my gosh, we have made it to 2024. I don't know about you and what your 2023 looked like, but I am super excited to see another year. 2024, I believe that some great things are going to happen, not only in my life, but in your life. And one of the ways we set things up for our lives is to make sure that we are planning. So I want to ask you if you have purchased your 52-week Sensational Living journal or planner yet. Listen, this journal and planner is everything. It is 3-in-1, not your ordinary or typical journal. You'll not just get a book filled with blank lines and pages, but in this planner, you are actually going to find that the book is filled with boxes and numbers and days of the week. Yeah, no, you're not going to find that either. What you're going to actually find is a planner that was created and designed to help you not only capture your thoughts and stick to your desired plan for your life, but a planner that was created and designed to keep you focused and inspired when life gets tough. Intentional planning will yield sensational results. So in this planner, 3-in-1, you are going to have a place to plan your week. You're going to have a place to journal your thoughts, and you will get weekly inspirational messages. So if you've not gotten it, I want to encourage you to go to www.catherinejames.com/shop and purchase your copy. And right now it is on sale. I then want to say welcome and welcome back. Here we are, first podcast of the year. Welcome back. I am Catherine James, your international speaker, best-selling author, trauma-informed coach, and your host of this show, Where Her Heart Speaks. Super excited to be with you all. For those of you that don't know, I have been off the whole month of December in a mini sabbatical, so I've got a whole lot of energy if you can't hear. And I get to sit down with another amazing woman, Rhasheeda Hague. Rhasheeda Hague is also known as the Undisputed Authentic Chic. I would just say that is going to tell you what type of conversation we're getting ready to have. So you all get ready. If you don't have your pens and pads, go ahead and grab something to write on and get ready for a dynamic conversation. Rhasheeda, welcome.
Thank you so much, Catherine. I am so excited. I am just thankful to be here with you on today and just to have this great conversation on today.
I am excited for you to be here. I thank you for gracing us with your presence. I'm excited because I love just the title that you go by. I am all into women, all for women being authentic, and undisputed authenticity is just like causing hairs to stand up on the back of my neck. Like, come on with it. So before we dive in, why don't you just give the audience a little bit of information about you, and then we'll get
Yeah.
started.
Yes, well, thank you so much for that. And it's just, as I was listening to you, it's very interesting just to hear even your response to the name that I was given. And, it's something, how like maybe we may call ourselves certain things or whatnot, but I would have to say for myself, and this is truly my life, like I'm like living this thing out, walking this thing out, right? And so, like, that very name, and I'll get a little bit into that, is what you see, right? It's what you see. And so, that what does that mean? That you see my process, you see my journey, right? You don't get to just see, where I end up, as someone may say, the promised land, but you get to see how I got to the promised land, if you will, or to that place of wholeness, right? And I'm very transparent. And so I understand now that that is one of my assignments, is to live transparently out before the people. Why? To encourage them in their processes, in their journey, and just being that authentic, which is the original version of yourself. And with that, I'm going to get into that even as well. Because even through this process, I am learning, let me say it like that, because it's an ever learning, right? And so if you're open, like if you're teachable, it's an ever learning. And so with the name, and just here, I would say even recently, as the Lord had gave me that name, he changed my name. I did not. And so that's, like I said, this is just this whole process. I may even talk about the surgeon's table, where we talk about heart transplant, right? That's all through that process, right? And with that name, two of the things that the Lord had told me that it meant, well, it was prophetic and symbolic. And so for those of you that may know a little bit about the Bible, like where God had changed, was it Jacob's name to Israel? And so that's the very thing that I'm speaking of in reference to that. So I did not come up with this name. I did not. So I cannot take the credit. He gave me this name. And just even as you were saying that, I'll say this, and to bring that part of it to a close, is that I was actually working with a trademark attorney, right? I'm sorry, my eyes passed me. When I was working with her, and I presented the name to her, because he told me to trademark it. And we're talking about legacy even for that, but that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day, right? For our daughter. So even with that, when I released the name to her, to the attorney, she began to, now she's a lawyer, okay? Listen, y'all, okay? We're talking about professional field, and they're supposed to keep it just on every, okay? But she had to come off the record, off the conversation, the recorded call, and she began to just prophesy to me concerning what she was hearing concerning that name. And out of that, I won't get into detail, but out of that, she said, flesh and blood has not revealed that to you. She said, I know that is from heaven. Like God gave you that. And just even now that I'm mentioning it, I just want to reel it back in, because I can just really feel, just like you were just mentioning about the hairs as you said it, but I just really feel God concerning it, because it was nothing of my own, nothing of my own. And my whole journey thus far has truly, it identifies with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I often believe that the first step, not often believe, I know, and often say that the first step to transformation is awareness. And what I'm hearing is that a level of awareness has shown up, and with that awareness was a new name, right? It Yeah, I'm brief for a moment, because authenticity, um, individuals, I work specifically primarily with women. That's where my heart is. But when I take all of that off, I love people. I have a heart to see people thrive in their God-given makeup. And when I hear you say often authentic self, when I hear you say the original version of yourself, um, that is what comes to me. Our God, the person that God created. And I will say that often, and realize in saying that, and you may have come into this yourself, even as you say it, people don't know what that is. People don't know that that exists. I heard you say that you're still learning. And I often tell people, you know, I'm still on this journey. Yeah, I'm not where I used to be, but I'm still on this journey because so much in the world, so much in our upbringing, so much in our conditioning and learnings has pulled us away from our original self. Look at right. um, and without getting into, you know, my understanding of trauma and how it shows up and how it changes us. What have you found in working with people and being on your own journey, um, in terms of people being aware that there is another option? Before you answer, I was in a conversation the other day with a woman, and I said, God, if people could just get back to who they were created to be. And we both came to this agreement that that would be amazing. And people do not know that there's an other that lives inside of them, right? There's someone else that they get to choose. So what are you finding? What have you found? And what keeps you in this?
You know, wow, 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 wow. You just said a whole mouth. And with that, I totally agree. And how so many things, but I'm trying to keep it reeled in. With that, I just recently, I want to share this real quick. I was assigned back in 2019 to write a book, and it's called Stop the Cycles, Annihilating Generational Curses. And just as you were saying, it was like, I wasn't going to mention it, but it was just like, but I'm going to do whatever I'm supposed to do. How about that?
I
Like,
was gonna mention it, so we're gonna get to that.
right. And when you start hitting, I was like, oh, okay, all right. And so with this assignment, when I was given this assignment in 2019 on a shuttle bus, right, trying to figure out what was going on with my vehicle, not thinking anything about writing or anything like that, because I would be like, who's going to write what? But I remember hearing the Lord say, you're going to write the book. He gave me the exact title, and he told me exactly when it was going to be released. He said it was going to be released in 2023. And so why? Because he knows the timing, he knows the purpose, all of that, right? And we're talking about just even our original selves, right? And so this very book, it deals with all of what you just mentioned. And so I would say in what I'm learning, dealing with my authentic self, the original version of myself, is that first of all, I had to learn who I am. I'm learning who I am. Let me say it like that, right? Because I like to liken us as like onions. You know, with onions, there's many layers, right? And so, so with that, in order for me to know who I am, I have to know whose I am. And so, like you talked about that other, this is who we are, the original, like you said, who God created us to be, and the very essence of who we are. This is who I am. So even through all the things that I've been through from the time I was born, the upbringings, everything, the things that I've done, you know, all of that, it doesn't, this is not who I am, because this is not who I was created to be. The one he knew before he, what,
Formed you.
create the foundation. Come on, before he formed me in my mother's womb and before the foundations of the world, he already knew us, right? And so that other that you're talking about, that's what she's talking about, right? And so with that, even I say to this, so just like with the layers of onions, I had to make a decision. Everything starts with a decision. So every day I have to decide for myself to listen. Am I going to do the work? This is, I'm trying to keep it simplified because I know these are a whole vast conversations. We can go into different things, but I have to decide every day mentally to show up for myself, the original me, and to allow these layers, right, to be peeled back, to allow these things, whether it's the upbringing, the limit, the beliefs, the all of these different things that we have layered ourselves on, whether it's us or, you know, whether things that we've learned through childhood, all these different things that have happened to us. And I have to decide, am I going to peel the layers, peel all that stuff that is not my original self, that I am I going to decide to do the work and to peel off all of these layers to be the what best version of myself, to be that authentic me, that original me, the one that he speaks about. He says who I am, not what mama or daddy or whomever may have said in a negative way that I am. No matter what life, the things that I've done, the things that I've been through have said or defined, tried to define who I am. No, that's not who I am. Those are maybe the mistakes that I have made, but that's not who I am. So am I going to decide, even on this day, that when those thoughts bombard my mind, when all of these things, that little girl on the inside of me shows up, all of these things, am I going to decide to, even though through the hurt, and I just even feel this now, through the hurt, through the pain that I feel, that I'm experiencing even right now, I even want to encourage you, because I can feel the pain, I can feel the wounds, the trauma, the disappointments, the betrayal, the everything, whatever it is in this moment that you are experiencing or that you may be reliving all over again. Can we just encourage you on today to decide, even it's gonna hurt, but you know what? When you decide to go through it, I'm telling you, it may hurt for that moment. It's like when you get a wound, or something happens to where you're experiencing this thing. You know, when it starts scabbing up, like, you know, going through that healing process, and say it comes out, then you begin to feel that pain. Listen, we want to encourage you today just to go through it. You're not by yourself. You're not. Even when you feel like you are, you're not. You are not. There's so many, and that's what, that's a lie. And that's a lie that, that comes to a lot of us, wants us to feel like we're going through this all by ourselves, that we've experienced this all by ourselves. We're the only ones. When you may be experiencing, it may be to you, like how you've experienced it, yes, but I'm telling you, that's a lie from the pit. And can I tell you, there's so many more that's with you than you think that are. The lie is to make you feel like you're by yourself. The lie is to make you feel like you're the only one going through it, that you're the only one that experienced it. The lie is, but can I tell you, we sit here with you today amongst many to say you're not alone. You're not alone. You can reach out to, I believe, Miss Catherine. You can reach out to others that, can I expose this lie as well? Sometimes when people are sent into our lives, there's sometimes things that happen to where, because why? There's a connection, right? There's a healing. There's things that take place through that connection. And so the lie of the enemy will try to do whatever he can to bring friction, to bring any kind of dissension, discord, or anything that would try to keep you from receiving what's supposed to be imparted into you, whether it's that love. Come on, listen, the love of your father, the one who created you, right? Even if you don't know him right now in this very moment, we want to encourage you that don't believe the lies. Come on, make that decision to say, you know what? Even though it hurts, I'm going to decide to go through it, because I know my healing, listen, my wholeness is on this other side of this pain, of this trauma. Listen, y'all, you looking at it, you see me, even if you may see me or you hear me, you may hear me smiling, you may see me smiling, whatever it may be, whenever that time comes. But can I tell you, I'm not smiling because I have not endured things. I'm smiling because I have endured things. I'm smiling because I am going through things, but I know that I'm not alone in this thing, right? I'm smiling because that little girl in me has shown up, that little girl that needs to be healed. Come on, I'm smiling because I have experienced the healing, the wholeness, and still yet to experience, like what I just mentioned to you before. We're like layers, even as we go on, and just, it's just like, here's another level. And like, you've maybe heard people say, as I go to another, they'd be like, well, Haven't I dealt with this? Haven't I, but it's layers, it's levels. And can I just encourage you that perfect work that he has begun in us all, it will not be complete until the day in which he comes back. So what does that tell you? It's a ongoing, but just rest assured and know it's his love for us. Come on, because why? He doesn't want us to stay the same. He wants to bring us back to that original place, that original state, to your original authentic self. You are undisputedly authentic. And that's the lie. Don't believe the lie. Some of you, you may be wondering, I know it's something different about me. Why don't I do it the same or this? Because you are original. Your fingerprints are not the same as anyone else's. Listen, because you are your original self, and he does not want the same of it. He never called you to be this person. He never called you to be that person or to do it the same way. Even if, can I use this example, Catherine? Even if you may be a coach or any whatever type of coach, you may be a trauma coach like Miss Catherine, but can I tell you, you both may be doing the same thing, but it's going to be totally different. Why? Because you are two different, unique individuals, authentic individuals, and you bring your own authenticity in your own way. Come on. And he does not do copycats, does he? He does not. Well, come on, Miss Kathy.
Girl, I'm just taking it in. Like, come on, come on, come on, come on, 2024, come on. So good, so good. Um, and I was writing notes. I'm like, for those of you that are listening, if you're taking notes, you just got the blueprint. Like, I don't know if you, Rhasheeda, are even aware, but I'm like, as you're talking, I'm like, I talked about being aware. So if we're going to talk about steps and strategies, I talked about being aware being the first thing. Then you came back and said, you've got to make a decision. You've got to make a decision that you are going to go through. That's the second thing. And the third thing she said is challenge. You're going to have these thoughts and things that are going to come up. You've got to challenge them. So I don't know if you all are taking notes, but I just gave them back to you. The first thing is to become aware. The second thing is make a decision that you are going to do different for your life so that you can get back to the person that you were created to be. And the third thing is to challenge. It is a process, and it's so funny. I love when there are divine connections, because the moment you said layers, layers was in my mind. I'm like, it's layers, and you mentioned, oh, because it's like an onion, and I'm like, come on. But there, it is a process, and I don't believe that we ever get there until the day that we have been called to rest,
Yes.
close our eyes on this side forever. We don't get there. We continue to go through this process. But what I have found is that as you overcome, the more things you overcome, the more things you heal from, the easier it is to address the next level. Because you have proof now, you have evidence that I was able to get through that. That means I can get through this. Oh, yeah, I got through that too. And as you are healing, your body is healing. Physiologically, you're healing. You all know that I talk about the nervous system and what happens in the body. So physiologically, you're healing, which means that if you maybe start out in stuck in fight or flight, and anger is your default mode, and you overcome that, the next time something comes up against you, you may want to get angry, but it may not be as intense as it was before. So it starts to subside. It gets easier and easier. Or fear. I'm going to take a step back, because everything in you is like, no, 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 don't do it. You're going to die. You know, you've heard me say, you're not going to die. And once you realize you're not going to die, you start to say, oh, that didn't push me over. That didn't push me over. So it gets easier to address. And as your nervous system becomes more and more regulated, you don't have the same type of responses in the same manner. I absolutely love that you said our fingerprints are different. That is something I've been saying of late. We are so unique, and some of the things that get in the way of our uniqueness, our authenticity, is the beliefs. Like we're believing that we're not that. We are comparing ourselves to others. We are concerned about what other people think. I don't know how this message got here in 2024. I'm just like 2024 keeps coming back to me. So, what you were speaking to are the lies, are the lies. Know that you are not alone. Being alone, feeling like you're alone, you're the only person, is a lie. Like if you and I had a conversation right now, Rhasheeda, I am more than 10 times certain that we would have some similarities in our past.
Yes.
We
Yes.
and we've not had this conversation before.
Yes.
But
Yes.
every time I sit down with women, I find that we've experienced some of the same stuff, and we're sitting and we're hiding, trying to keep these secrets in the closet because we don't want people to know our history. We don't want them to judge us. And then when you open up the door, it's like, hey, that's what's in my closet too.
Yes.
So know that you are not alone. And if our stories are not the same or our experiences are not the same, this body that houses the spirit is the same, right? That spirit, that inner being is the same. We are all the same. So reaching out to individuals who understand that and who have taken this journey and saying, I can help you along your journey. Reaching out is so important, so important. And then being able to challenge the story, because you'll sit there and say, oh, I need to reach out to Miss Rhasheeda. I need to reach out to Miss Catherine, Coach Catherine. And something will say, don't do that. Girl, what do you think they're going to say? You don't want to do that. So that discord that she mentioned, that discord, challenging it and saying, I know that there's a better version of me. I know that there's a other that lives inside of me, and I want to get to that other. I just want to touch it. I just want to experience it. And knowing that it is a journey, knowing that it is a journey. So you said so much. It took me into this so much, but what I really know is that nothing happens by chance. Nothing happens by chance. And I want to go back to Stop the Cycles. The book title, for those of you that maybe did not hear it, Stop the Cycles: Annihilating Generational Curses. Stop the cycles. So many of us continue to repeat cycles, even when we say we will never be that way. I was in a conversation yesterday with someone, and I have heard them say over and over and over, I never want to parent the way that I was parented. And yet, and still, you find that you have some of these traits that show up in your parenting. The cycle continues. And then her child said, I never want to. The cycle continues. We have to come to a place of understanding what cycles look like. And the only way we stop the cycle is go through the healing process. This is my belief. This is your title. I'm going to ask you what you meant by it and what you find, or what you believe, and how do we annihilate generational curses? What are, first, let me back up for people who may not understand that. What do you know generational curses to be?
And just as you were just saying, Catherine, I mean, you just, Oh my goodness, this is just beautiful. Just as you were just saying, like just those cycles, those generational curses are just those cycles that just keep going from generation to generation, whether it is beliefs that are not aligned to, to our original, if I could say it like that, to our original, who we originally are, whether it's things that we've learned, or it can be sins from our forefathers, different things, those that have been come before us that have continued on where no one just has stopped it and said, okay, this is where it ends. Like you were just saying, we just continue on. Like I said, it could be sin, it can be just those different things. And as you were just speaking, did you want to say anything else or ask me anything?
I was going to just giving some people examples if for whatever reason, people are like, well, I can't really put my finger on a cycle. And I will say, cycles and parenting, what comes up for me, because I just mentioned parenting, but I grew up in a household where there was a lot of yelling. My mom grew up in a household where there was a lot of yelling. That was the mode of discipline. Before my great grandmother tend to yell. So you see cycles. Now, I came along and said, I'm not going to raise my children like that. And I want to show you how the cycle can continue and you not even be aware that it's continuing. So I didn't yell, but what I did is I would give them the silent treatment. That is still a part of the same cycle. So understanding, because I wasn't healed, I didn't know how to communicate what I wanted my children to do or communicate what I needed. And when it wasn't given the way that I thought, I would just get quiet,
Mm-hmm.
believing
Yes.
that I was doing them a service because I wasn't yelling. Now, my children are adults now, and what I've come to learn is that that was still a disservice to them. So how cycles can continue, you can cook a certain way and believe that that's the only way and find yourself in heated arguments with your spouse because they don't do it the same way. Wash clothes, whatever it is where you're in relationships with
Yes.
anybody and
Yes.
believing that this is the way it's supposed to be done because my mother did it this way, my grandmother
Mm-hmm.
did it this way.
Yes.
And it's just a cycle. It's just
Yes.
a cycle. Now, curses, as we talk about, curses can be on the negative spectrum of things, where you have alcoholism, trickle
Mm-hmm.
matriculating down from one generation to the next generation. And every single generation, someone struggles with this alcoholism as an issue. Someone struggles with drug addiction as an issue. Someone struggles with miscarriages as an issue. Someone struggles with abortion, generation after generation after generation. So, as we talk about these generational curses, the how do we stop the cycles?
And just as we were just saying beforehand, in just that journey, that process, and this is like you say, healing. But everything starts with a decision. So I had to decide, I believe that we all are presented, if you will. I say in my book that I was not the first one to be called to say, okay, is to break these generational curses, these cycles in our bloodline. I was just one who said, yes, enough is enough. I'm tired. I'm crying out. I'm hurting. Um, I no longer want to live like this. Like, I don't even understand. Like, come on, because some people, they don't understand what they're going through. They don't understand why certain things are happening in their lives. And we talk about this even in the book. And so, with that, I just want to address some things. I talk about sexual bondage in one of the chapters, dealing with perversion, lust, incest, all of these different things. And so, with that, I had to decide that I want to be healed. I want enough is enough. This very thing, even though I don't understand what's going on here, I know it's not right. I don't like the way I feel. I don't, all these different things. So I had to decide, like we talked about making a decision. And so I had to decide to want to heal, to want to get help. And with that, so what that looks like is just making a decision that you want to be healed, that you want something different than what you are experiencing. And so my process is, as you see, is a process of healing, healing from the trauma, healing from the pain, healing from all the different things. And in this book, that's what this is just sharing because he would only allow me to share some of right now in this book. I like to call it surface, but even though one knows, so she was like, this is surface. But even, you want to say something?
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that.
Because the way he set it up is layers to it, because we deal with inner healing sessions, we deal with audio, which goes even deeper, just different things like that. So, but with that, that's what that process, that journey looks like, is a journey of healing. I mentioned to you on that I was on the surgeon's table, and with that, if you think about anyone who has ever had a heart surgery, it's so much that, oh, wow, that goes into that. It's just so much from the beginning to it's so much. And so if you don't know, look it up and just get an ideal revelation of what that looks like. And so that's my life. Like, I'm on the surgeon's table and you don't get up until the surgeon's done, right? And so that I want to share and encourage you, even with dealing with generational curses, dealing with cycles, to making that decision that I want healing, I want wholeness, and I'm not going to get up. I'm not going to stop until, that happens in every area of my life. And so with the book is just going through those layers, right? Going through. And so like when those different things happen, whether it's that little girl or whatnot, as we mentioned before, shows up, it's just going through those layers of healing, those layers of inner healing. I like to talk about those, and also talk about soul wounds as well, because a lot of times I won't go into deliverance. We like to throw deliverance out a lot of times, but a lot of things, it may not be about deliverance. You may just have a soul wound. You may need inner, just different things. So you have to know the difference. And when it's time for those things, you may need to go see a therapist, a counselor, like you said, a trauma coach, and that's even with being on the surgeon's table. If I can say this, I'm talking about to whose we are. That's when I say the surgeon's table. That's when he will show you, and that's when he divinely, you talked about those divine connections, he will divinely connect you, because it's definitely a trusting process. Because you think you would not lay on anybody's table when you're getting a heart surgery, right? You would not. You want to make sure whoever's about to do surgery on you is the best of the best, right? And so with that, that's a trusting process. And so he will show you who you need to divinely connect to, what therapist, what counselor, what coach, whomever, what leader, whomever, whatever that looks like, what season you are in your life. Why? Because it's all about coming back to that original place, that original state of who you truly are. And so that's what this book, it just walks out, just teaches us, tells us, even from my own personal, as I draw from my own personal experiences through the word, of how to identify these things in our lives, and not only how to identify, like you said, to be aware, and how to take those steps, those strategies, those steps to get to that place of healing, of wholeness.
Yeah.
And so I'm sharing my life transparently with you.
Yeah. To show what you've said, you're not alone, right? If we never share, then how will people know that they're not alone? Some of the things that I like to address as we go into conversations and as we talk about strategies and things is, it sounds really simple. When we say, oh, just be aware, oh, make a decision. And I want to say to that person whom has maybe done that, or to that person who does not know this God that we speak of. And
Yes.
well, I don't have that connection. So how is he going to speak to me?
Yes.
there is always a message dropped in our souls. There is always, we can call it intuition. We have a knowing, we have an aha moment. There is something that comes to us and it says, oh, I need to reach out to that person. Oh,
Yes.
that's applicable to me. Wow, it feels like they're talking to me. And understand that it's not always easy to make a decision. I want to say what you said, Rhasheeda, is that it didn't feel good because sometimes people don't know, right? If we only know this person that we see in the mirror, this part of us, this version of self that we
Mhm.
see in the mirror, and we don't know that there's another or an other even possible, then how do I question change, right? How do I say that I want to do something different? How do I know? I
Mhm.
believe that this is all there is, but what you said is it didn't feel good. And even with that, I'm aware that some people have experienced such pain that they are disconnected from self.
Yes.
They don't
Yes.
know the feeling. And there is still, I believe, a part of you that cries out. And that disconnection causes us to suppress it, to continue to push it down. There's a part that cries out. And it's that part that we have to listen to. It's that part that's saying, hey, there's another option. There's another option, even though it's been difficult and you've seen challenge after challenge after challenge, there's another option. And that other option truly is coming to our authentic self. And it doesn't mean that life gets easier. It doesn't mean that we're not going to face challenges. I'll say that.
Yes. Yes.
But in my own experience, it gets easier because my responses are very different. My responses are very different. So I don't internalize things the same way that I did some years ago. Um, so as
And
we,
can I say something real quick? Is that
yes,
all right? And just to speak to what you were just saying, just to speak to what you were just saying, just to kind of give an example, if is that when it came to, I would just say for me making a decision, like you talked about just a few moments ago, of like that disconnect or the other option, there is another option, is that I remember, Catherine, when I had to make a decision and choose the other option, if you will, because of suppressing some of the things that I had endured, right, for so long. You're talking about from childhood, right, to where I was current, the age that I currently was, is I was battling in my mind because if you have ever been a part of a family, some of you can resonate with this, where what happens in this house stays in this house. That, and I just want to use this example, if that's okay. Then that other option was, what if you say something, if you go outside the house, and what if you say something, instead of like the one option was like, how dare you, or like if you go against the grain and you want that help, that you've been, all these things you've been suppressing for so long, and you're like, oh no, there's a better way, but because of what you've been told, like, you're against the family if you get help outside of, or if you speak up even in the family to say something that this is what happened or whatnot, right? I'm keeping it light. So, but just to give an example, so even out of fear, you talked about fear at one point, like just even being fearful of the outcome of me wanting to get help, right? And me crying out, I'm hurting here. Like how long, and even some people, they take the way out of suicide. They take the way out of maybe cutting or whatever it is. They self-medicate, if you will, all these different things. But what if I choose that other option? And so I had to decide, you know what? Later, forget it. I'm already hurting. And
yeah,
I know there's more hurt on this other side. If I continue to keep my mouth closed, right?
yeah,
And go against the grain here. So what do I have to lose? I'm already hurting here, So I want to encourage you to say, that's another lie. That's another lie. And it wants to keep you suppressed. It wants to keep you bound in that pain and that trauma and that hurt that you, and that disconnect from yourself, from your true self. It wants to. So just hey, what if I go ahead and take this other option that I hear? What if I take this? Hmm. And so dare to take that option, and that's where be brave to take. Like I say, you're going to experience these challenges. You're going to experience those pains and the things that you may have to relive that pain that, all over again. But there's wholeness, there's healing, there's better on the other side of it.
What if? I love the what if. What if? What if we chose differently? Um, I'll come back to this is a process. This is a process. And there are individuals who are ready to come to that what if and find themselves stuck. Know that this is a process. Have patience with yourself, have compassion with yourself. In my experience in working with hundreds of women, what I have come to know to be true, your perfect time is your perfect time. Don't rush it.
Yes.
With yourself, have compassion, be as loving as you can, and keep showing up. Keep showing up to podcasts that resonate with you, that speak to your soul, where her heart speaks. Rhasheeda has a podcast. She's going to give us the name of it. Keep showing up. And one day you will find that you're ready. Your soul will open, your heart will speak, and you will know. You will know. We are coming to time. We are coming to time. I feel like we just need to pause, like for a moment. And those who are listening, just take a few deep breaths. If you've been with me before, there's an exercise that I'll typically give to regulate your nervous system, inviting you to identify 3 things that you see, 3 things that you hear, and 3 things that you feel. This has been so good. So good. I wasn't sure what the first podcast for 2024 was going to look like. And I've gotten a lot of things dropped in my spirit. And so before we got on, I said, well, maybe I'll air this one right now, or maybe I'll put it on the shelf for next week or so. And I don't have a choice but to let this roll right now because somebody needs it. Like I know that with everything in me. So before we wrap up, what I want to do is just have you share where people can find you, say the names of the books again, where they can get them. And then I'm going to ask you to just give a closing remark. What would you leave people with to carry on throughout this year?
Well, thank you so much. Oh my goodness, my voice is starting to change. Thank you so much. I'm just truly honored and humbled to be here with you all today. Um, you can go to my website is brand new, of course, and still being worked on. Like I say, it's a process. Hello, that's my life. It's a process. You get to see my process, my processes, however you call it. But it is all lowercase letters is Rhasheeda Hague altogether.com. And on there, that's where you see that Undisputed Authentic Chic. And it will, of course, like I say, as it's being processed, as I'm continuing to be processed, you will see many changes and things of that nature. But it shows where we have the book is on there as well, Stop the Cycles, Annihilating Generational Curses, which just released here at the end of December. Uh, and I, that's pretty much it. Like, I'm really grateful. And just my heart is just towards, like you said, your heart is for the people. And that's it. And I guess it's just when you're going through your processes and you've been through the things you've been through, you look at things differently. It's just through a different lens, and you just want to see people to be the best version of themselves. And that's just simply it. I don't want to talk about all these other things. It's not important. If you want to go to the website, go to the website. That's the book, but it's not even really about all of that. Do you understand? I hope I'm okay. It's just really about the people. And that's where my heart is. It's just really about the people. Because I truly know what he has done and what he's doing in my life. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
Right. Yeah. And I'm just going to say, I'll drop the links in the description, but all of her social media links,
Thank
everything will be dropped in the description. And what would you leave those who are listening, just as a final word? What would you want? What's on your heart?
Just I'm gonna try not to cry. I'm trying not to. Um, and just out of that, when I say that, it's just feeling the heart of the people. Trust your process. Trust your process. If I can just encourage you, like Catherine was saying, the timing. Trust your process because that's one of the things that's just really recently been revealed to me is just that sometimes we look at our lives and we like, oh, they're a mess and this different things. And this is why it's so important that we don't judge people and where they are because we don't know the process. Their process is right. And the inner work that's going on the inside. Right. And so if I can just encourage you, trust the process. And she said, be kind to yourself. Give yourself grace, you know, um, and just know it is going to be okay. It's going to be okay if you trust the process, if you're willing to do the work, do the work, no matter how painful it may be, how scary, because some of it may be scary. And just be vulnerable, be honest with yourself, be vulnerable. Some people will get you to shy away from that. I'll be like, oh, no, 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 but be vulnerable. Because I'm telling you, healing comes with that vulnerability.
Yes.
So just trust the process.
And I want to say that sometimes when we start talking about transformation, it feels like we have to be in a downtrodden space. And I want to say that that's not always the case. Transformation is about knowing where you are is not where you're supposed to be. And that may be, in my life when I started this journey, I was doing pretty well. Like I had already started my career. I had all of the bells and whistles of life. But I knew that it wasn't what I was created to do. So it's about getting back to your original self, being who it is that you were created to be. And when you do that, I have found that you live with more peace, you live with more joy, you live with more certainty. So as we close out, Rhasheeda, I typically close out with just a simple prayer. And I will say that those of you who are listening, those who will listen, my prayer is very simple. And I will simply echo what has been said. Trust your process. Give yourself permission to come back to your original self. Give yourself permission to think beyond what you have believed to be true. Open up the box just a bit to entertain the what ifs, to entertain the idea that there could be more. I pray that you will have self compassion, come to understand that when you are vulnerable, you open up space for more love to enter in. And as we close, I simply want to remind you that you give yourself permission to go to the place and listen from where your heart speaks. And always remember that in this life we get to choose. So choose to live a sensational life. Peace and blessings.
Thank you for listening to Where Her Heart Speaks with Coach Catherine, where Catherine aims to challenge and disrupt ineffective thoughts and behaviors to help you not only embody peace, joy, calm, and certainty, but also help you live the life you've always dreamed of living. Follow Catherine on Facebook and Instagram at I Am Catherine James, and visit www.catherinejames.com. Remember, to live the life of your dreams, you must go within and return to the place where your heart speaks.